Thank you. And I like the positivity in the room that in some ways, all three of you are hopeful that we can know ourselves. I'm going to be thoroughly and utterly negative. So I'm going to say that it's not possible for us to know ourselves. It's dangerous. It's potentially extremely dangerous to try to do so. And neither is it desirable. It's not something we should try to do. And I'm going to give two reasons for why it's not possible and can lead to all kinds of complications. One of them is that we're extremely invested and biased when it comes to knowing ourselves, because it's us. We're trying not to have any negative opinions of ourselves. So there is something that psychologists call the psychological immune system. And the idea there is that if you're bombarded with the negative information about ourselves, then we're just going to swat them away because we don't want to have negative information about ourselves. So self-knowledge is not like other kinds of knowledge. Other kinds of knowledge, you could try to be neutral. When it comes to self-knowledge, it's very difficult to be neutral. You're always invested, and it always distorts any kind of attempt at knowledge. The second reason is that the self changes. We change all the time. And there's a lot of interesting social psychology experiments that show this from 1 year to the other in 5-year periods. There's just enormous changes that we undergo in all kinds of ways, including personality traits, including the most touchy-feely cherished taste in music and in literature and in film. Huge changes.
I don't agree with Bence on much, really, because he seems so extraordinarily black and white. The picture is subtler than that, and it's quite true that we deceive ourselves, of course. We deceive ourselves about many things, but not to make the attempt to see more truly. It doesn't follow logically from the fact that we often deceive ourselves. I think some people are actually very good at knowing themselves. I've known many in my life. Some people seem to have no talent for it at all. It's a matter of degree, and it varies. Also, the point about change, yes, but everything changes, everything flows, but it doesn't necessarily become something utterly different. I think the extent to which change was stressed there exaggerated things so badly that it almost reached the conclusion that it wanted to reach by just saying, well, you change so much, there's no continuity of the self. I would say that doesn't stand up philosophically or psychologically. Nor do I think that it's dangerous to do so, because you'll take a very high opinion of yourself. I've worked a lot of my life with people who take a rather poor opinion of themselves, much poorer than they need to, and getting it right is important. Getting it wrong is dangerous, yes, but you don't have to get it wrong. That whole premise is far too simplistic and overdriven. And finally, I don't know what country Bence comes from, but in most languages other than English, we make a distinction in kinds of knowledge. There is knowledge in the sense of German Wissen and French savoir, but there is also knowledge in the sense of German kennen and French connaître. And it is that process that we need to exercise in getting to know ourselves. It's not an alienating one. It is a human one that has relationship in it.
And I think it's really important. Just take the stories that we tell ourselves, i.e. this kind of self-knowledge stuff, less seriously. And I think that's a really important thing. And let me tell you why. And I'm going to appeal to authority here, and the authority is André Gide. He has this really nice one-liner about how if the caterpillar were to know itself, it would never become a butterfly. And that goes back to the point about change. It also goes a little bit back about different kinds of knowledge, not the kind of linguistic distinction that Iain was talking about, which I don't find particularly helpful or amusing. Well, if tomorrow you're going to wake up as a little bit taller than you are, would it still be you? If you woke up tomorrow as blonde, as, I don't know, as a heavy metal fan, as a Republican, as a Buddhist, would that still be you? And then you can kind of trace what are the features that people attribute themselves, that they take to be them, the defining features. And it's very difficult to avoid thinking of yourself as having these kind of defining features. You think of yourself as a professor, as a liberal, as a vegetarian, and so on. But this is exactly the kind of self-knowledge that Anil was talking about. If you're kind of labeling yourself like this, and it is true that you're changing all the time, you're changing, your labeling yourself does not change. So eventually, there's going to be this huge conflict between who you are and who you think you are. And that is what's preventing you from becoming a butterfly. All right, I'm done.
For more debates, talks, and interviews, subscribe today to the Institute of Art and Ideas at IAI TV.